Hello everyone, I'm Chris McIntosh and I help teach the statistics courses, and this week we're going to go over the week 5 computer assignment. We're going to calculate descriptive statistics in Jamovi, and it looks like I did not get that updated. So we're going to just go over the descriptive statistics menus in Jamovi. We looked at them briefly last week, but we're going to look at them a little more closely this week. So you want to open the Jamovi data file, and I think I put that on the Canvas page for the assignment called week 4 dataset.omv. And once you open that in Jamovi, you should be able to click the file if you install Jamovi. If you need to, you can go open it. If you open Jamovi and then go to the hamburger menu, open, and then browse and navigate to the folder where you have that hanging out. There's copy in the folder. I already have it open, so I'm going to cancel out of that. And you should see there's already some output in there. And so you want to click in the output for, we want to do the continuous, or we want to do the categorical variables. Oh, let's see, let's move this forward and we'll, once you got that open, let's see what the next part is. Get descriptive statistics and plots for the categorical variables. So if it's already showing, then we see we have male and female here, and we can just click on this output where it's showing, and it will bring us to this menu. You see we have gender and CKD status, showing those were our two categorical variables in the menu or in the data set. And if we were looking at the continuous variables, we could click inside of that menu and you would see that this switches to the continuous variables. So I think I've got the categorical variables first and the continuous variables second. If that were not showing up there for you like it already is, you could go to Analyses, Exploration, and Descriptives, and it would bring you to the dialog box so you could generate the descriptives you want. But I think your data set should have it, so just click in the output, and that's an easy way. Jamovi lets you just update live, basically. So if you do something, then you want to go back and change it, you just click back on the output and it will give you the dialog box. So because these are categorical variables, these automatically come with mean, median, standard deviation, min and max showing, and frequencies are not showing. So a mean gender does not mean much, and this was coded using zeros and ones, and as you can see, Jamovi knows there's numbers in there, so it went ahead and calculated a mean. And just don't do that. Don't report mean genders. Because of the way that's coded, you can calculate it, and yes, you can infer that that relates to the number of females or the proportion of females in the group. And I've actually seen published papers with that reported. Just don't do it. That's my advice to you. So you want to click in the statistics drop down and uncheck mean and median, and uncheck standard deviation, minimum, maximum. So you shouldn't have any of those checked. You'll see that it does tell you the sample size and if there's any missing values, and that's actually useful, so I always leave that. And then here on the descriptives window, in the descriptive window, you'll see it says frequency tables, And that's what we want to see for our categorical variables. Remember, for categorical variables, the correct descriptive statistics are frequency and percent. So you see we have our counts, that's our frequency, and we have our percent for each group in gender. And then we have the same thing here for each group in CKD status. So that is what we want to be looking at for categorical variables. So it's pretty handy to do descriptives for your categorical variables and then your continuous variables. And this is just part of a data cleaning process. And we'll talk more about this as we go on in the semester. But you want to look, like we've been doing, you want to look over each of your variables and get an idea for, you know, what's there and make sure that it's clean. So this lets us see the missing, and I don't know if this is new and I just didn't notice it before. Jamovi is updating periodically, but there is this outliers box. So the 5 most extreme values, it looks like you can actually change this to, and I don't know. So these are categorical variables, and so zeros and ones, it just gives us the extreme values for gender. So for these categorical variables, I don't think that means a lot, so I wouldn't bother checking it. And then click on the plots drop down, and you're going to see this, and the plot that's appropriate for categorical variables is a bar plot. So over here on the right hand side under bar plots, check bar plot, and then you'll see we have one for gender, and males and females are pretty close to each other, and then we have one for CKD status, and you'll see our 5 CKD status groups get smaller as disease level severity gets worse. So that's the bar plot. I don't think there's anything else that is going to have you look at for the categorical variables. You have the statistics drop down and the plots drop down and the frequency box. So let's move on to the continuous variable. So again, if you needed to start from scratch, you can go to Analysis, Exploration, Descriptives, and you'll get this window, and you would just drag your continuous variables over. And I already have some in the output, so I'm going to click on the output, and you'll see my menu has GFR height in inches and weight in pounds. Because these are continuous, we do not care about the frequency table, so leave that unchecked. And you'll see we have our N and our missing values, and we have 10,000 entries and no missing values. That's a bit of a hallmark of a fabricated data set, because most regular data sets have got missing values in various places. So just be aware that this is pristine, clean data, and you never see that in real life. Okay, and then you should have standard deviation minimum and maximum checked. We haven't talked much about the variance. You're not going to do too much with it. But we did mention the range in IQR. The range would be from the lowest value to the highest value. And the IQR is the interquartile range. That's from the first quartile to the third quartile. And we can see we have those two reported right here. The range is bigger than the interquartile range because the range goes from the highest to the lowest. And these are 25 and 75% quartile, first and third quartiles. So those are always going to be smaller. I'm going to uncheck them, but you can leave them checked if you want to. Totally up to you. But we are going to look at skewness and kurtosis. So let's go ahead and check the skewness and kurtosis. And skewness is if we have outliers to the right or to the left. And you'll see that tail. So if you have tails, big outliers, the tail's going to be to the right. It's going to be positively skewed. And if you have small outliers, then the tail's going to be to the left and it's going to be negatively skewed. And then kurtosis. And This is looking at normality, and if something is mesokurtic, that means it's has normal kurtosis for a standard normal curve. If it's leptokurtic, it's really tall and skinny, and if it's platykurtic, it's wide and flat. And you'll see this kurtosis is negative, which means this is a little flatter than just a standard normal curve. You'll see these values for standard error of the skewness and standard error of the kurtosis. When we start looking at statistical tests, we'll start caring a little more about normal distribution and are things normal. And I went ahead and I also checked this normality Shapiro-Wilk. And this is a test, and that one is not coming up with anything. It may just be that it's too perfect. So I'm not sure why that's not working right now. We won't worry about it. But one thing you can check is skewness. Is take the skewness and divide by the standard error of the skewness. And if you start getting a value greater than 2, then you might be not normally distributed. And we'll talk more about this later, but when you have small sample sizes, it's more of a concern. In this case, where we have 10,000 entries, it's not really a concern at all because we have a large sample size, so we wouldn't really worry about that. Well, and this is supposed to be a population like we talked about, so it's not really a sample, but good to know. There is these checkbox here under outliers for most extreme, and it gives you the 5 highest and lowest, and it looks like you can change this number. If we change it to 10, we can get, and there's a lot of values, and see they're all pretty high and pretty low. But that's handy for getting an idea of what are the most extreme values and where are they. So that's kind of a handy thing that got added to these menus. Okay, and then if you go down to plots, the plots that we get for continuous variables are the histogram and the box plot. And if we go down, there's GFR, and there's a histogram, and there's a box plot, and there's our height, and a box plot. And you'll see we have no dots above or below the whiskers, so there aren't really any outliers in those variables. And weight. So always nice to look at the plots. Those are the plots that we should look at. I did want to show you guys. Okay, so these tables and plots are pretty much APA compliant. They don't have table numbers or labels, but I did want to show these to you. So if you go to a table that you're interested in copying and putting into a paper, you can right click on the table and hit copy, and if you go into Word, a Word document, and paste it, it's going to paste it in, and that is a pretty nice looking table. It's not always going to be set up the exact way, but if it does show the way you want to, then this might keep you from having to make tables yourself. It's not too big of a deal to do it, but that is one nice thing about Jamovi. The only thing it will be missing is a table number, and as you're going to learn as you go through your program and work with APA more, tables each get their own number, and the table number is in bold, and the table title is in italics. So that pretty much I just put a table number on the top of it, and that would be pretty much an APA compliant table. If I wanted to include a figure, I would go to a new page. Most of the time in APA, when you're putting tables and figures at the end of a document, each one should start on its own page. So we'd go to Insert and Page Break, maybe. Okay, there we go. Wow, Word is slow today. So, and if we wanted to put a figure, like maybe one of these plots in here, we'd right click on the plot, go to copy, go back into Word, and go to paste, and see if we can figure out how to. Well, you know, I probably should make it, let's leave myself a little space there. So I've got give myself a couple places, put that down there, and again, the figure is going to have a bold for the figure number and italic for the title, and that would be an APA figure. So that is one nice thing. Jamovi tries to be friendly that way. So I just wanted to show you guys that you can do that, and it might make things a little easier if you are writing up your papers down the road. Okay, so I did give you some links to the APA style blog for tables and figures. We're not going to write anything in this course, but you'll have to write something later on, so good to start knowing that stuff. Okay, save your data file. So you're going to go to File, Save As, and Browse, and go to the right thing and give it a name like your last name and data set. I'm not going to bother saving this data file. And then you want to save your PDF of your output, because this is what you're going to turn in. So you're going to go to Hamburger menu, Export, Browse, and you'll navigate to the place where you want to go. Give it your last name, week 5 output. Let's call that output, and hit save. And that should save a PDF of your output, and that is what you want to turn in for this assignment. Let's see if it came up okay. Wow, my computer's crawling. Okay, and there it is. There's my PDF of my output, and that's what you want to turn in for your assignment this week. I hope that's helpful, and this gets you a little more comfortable with working in Jamovi. It really just takes repetition and practice, and it gets a little more comfortable. So have a good rest of your week, and we'll talk to you later.